The wind cut through the city like a blade, sharp, relentless, and unforgiving. In the middle of Riverside Park, beneath an old iron lamppost, two children sat side by side on a worn wooden bench. A thin layer of frost coated the edges of their sleeves, their shoes. The toy nestled carefully between them. They were twins, 12 years old, Mia and Noah Sinclair. Identical only in heart, not in looks. Mia had a calm strength in her dark eyes, the kind that didn't belong to a child. Noah was quieter, more cautious, with a tiny crease in his brow that never went away anymore. Between them sat a red toy car, faded, scratched, but still gleaming where the sun touched it. "Someone's gonna want it," Mia murmured, rubbing her glove over the roof of the car. "It's still nice. It runs." Noah didn't answer. His stomach growled, but he looked away, pretending not to notice. They hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. Half a slice of toast, some weak tea. But that wasn't what mattered today. What mattered was Mom. Laura Sinclair, strong, kind, once a nurse who stayed late for every patient, was now lying in a hospital bed 3 blocks away. Her lungs, they said, weren't working right. She needed a special medication. Something expensive. Something insurance wouldn't cover. So Mia and Noah did the only thing they could. They brought their most prized possession into the cold and tried to trade it for hope. "We'll just explain," Mia said, more to herself than to Noah. "Someone will understand. Someone has to." Across from them, the city moved fast. Men in suits with earbuds, women with coffee cups and barking dogs. Nobody looked. Nobody slowed. Mia stood. "Let's try again," she said. Noah picked up the toy carefully, as if it still deserved respect, even now, even as it was being sold off like a memory too heavy to carry. They positioned themselves closer to the path where people rushed past. "Excuse me," Mia called out to a man in a long trench coat. "Do you want a toy car? It's really good. Only $2. He didn't even glance their way. "We're not asking for money," she added, louder. "You get the car." Another woman passed by, pulling her scarf tighter as if their words were cold themselves. Noah's voice cracked. "We just need to help our mom." But no one stopped. Not yet. On the opposite side of the park, a sleek black Mercedes rolled to a quiet stop beside the curb. The back door opened with a soft hiss. Ethan Caldwell stepped out, tall, impeccably dressed. 42 years old and already worth over $6 billion. A man who'd made his name designing software that the entire world now used without ever knowing his face. He rarely walked anywhere, but today his driver had missed a turn, and Ethan, frustrated by the endless phone calls and rising tension in his chest, had asked for a moment to breathe. 15 minutes, he'd said. "Pick me up on the east side." His shoes crunched over light frost as he walked into the park, a scarf wrapped around his throat, gloves custom-stitched in Italy. He barely noticed the cold. His mind was far away. Quarterly losses, stockholder pressure, a lawsuit brewing over patent rights. But then he heard it, a small voice. "Sir, please, would you like to buy our car?" He stopped, turned, and there they were, 2 kids, thin jackets, red noses. A toy car held up like an offering to a god. Something in Ethan's chest tightened. He told himself to keep walking, told himself he didn't have time, but he didn't move. The girl took a step forward. "It's still really nice. My brother cleaned it this morning." The boy nodded, clutching his sister's hand like it was the last safe thing in the world. "Our mom's really sick," he said, his voice thin. "She needs medicine. We're trying to help her." Ethan looked down at the car. It was old, worn, but there was something sacred about the way they held it. like it had meaning, like it carried love. He felt something. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like a CEO. He felt like a man who'd forgotten what empathy looked like and had just been reminded by 2 children and a toy car. "How much is it?" he asked softly. The girl looked at her brother, then at Ethan. "Whatever you want to give. We're not selling it for money. We're selling it for her." Ethan reached into his coat, pulled out his wallet, handed over a wad of bills, more than they'd ever seen. The boy placed the car in his hand gently, like it might break. "Thank you, sir," the girl whispered. Then they turned and ran, barely able to believe what had just happened. Ethan stood there, staring down at the little red car in his palm. And for reasons he didn't yet understand, he didn't keep walking. He followed. The Mercedes moved slowly, trailing the twins from a distance. Ethan Caldwell sat silently in the back seat, his eyes locked on the 2 small figures weaving through city streets. The toy car rested on his knee. He hadn't let go of it since they left. "Don't lose them," he told his driver. "Stay back, but close enough." He wasn't sure what had pulled him in. Maybe it was the girl's voice, maybe the boy's hands shaking as he let go of something he loved. Or maybe, deep down, he recognized himself in them, abandoned by the world but still trying. The twins turned a corner into a forgotten part of town. Cracked sidewalks, chain-locked storefronts, a street lamp flickering above a rusted fire hydrant. They reached a run-down building with chipped bricks and a crooked mailbox. No elevator, just stairs. Ethan opened the car door and stepped out. He climbed 4 flights, each step echoing with the muffled sounds of distant TVs, crying babies, lives surviving behind paper-thin walls. He reached a door with peeling blue paint and paused. Voices inside. Then a cough, deep, rattling. A woman's cough. He knocked. The door opened slowly, and there stood Mia. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "It's the man from the park," she whispered. Behind her, Noah peeked out. Ethan didn't speak right away. He just looked. Inside the apartment, everything was clean, but stripped to its essentials. A folding chair, a mattress on the floor, blankets folded neatly in the corner. And on that mattress was their mother, Laura Sinclair. She lay there, pale and sweating, oxygen tube wrapped around her ears. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Still, even in sickness, there was something warm in her face, something strong. "I'm sorry for showing up," Ethan said softly. "But I saw, and I couldn't leave it alone." Mia hesitated, then stepped aside to let him in. He took in the apartment silently. No luxury, no waste, just survival. He crouched beside Laura and gently touched her wrist to check her pulse. Years ago, he'd learned the basics. Before the money, before the empire, back when he was just a brother trying to keep his little sister alive. "She needs proper care," he said, standing. "Not just medicine, oxygen therapy, nutrition." Monitoring Mia's eyes widened. "Can you help?" Ethan nodded once. "Yes, I can." And he did. That same night, Ethan called a private physician. He paid for oxygen support to be installed, groceries delivered, medication fast-tracked. He even arranged for a home nurse named Rosa to come daily, all without asking for anything in return. When he left, the toy car remained in his coat pocket, but something else had taken root inside him. For the first time in years, he'd felt useful in a way that money alone could never explain. Days passed, then weeks, and slowly, the sterile air of fear inside the Sinclair apartment began to shift. Bit by bit, color returned to Laura's face. Her breathing improved. Her eyes no longer seemed to drift out of focus. and Ethan kept coming back. At first, he said it was to check on the nurse, then to make sure the prescriptions were being followed. But soon, it was just because he wanted to. He began bringing small things: books for Mia, a chess set for Noah, soup from a French place downtown that neither twin could pronounce. They started waiting for him by the window, and Ethan found himself rescheduling meetings just to stay a little longer. One rainy afternoon, Mia looked up from a book and asked, "Do you have kids?" Ethan hesitated. "Number, I never had time to build a family." "You do now," Noah said, matter-of-factly. Ethan blinked. Something twisted quietly in his chest. They showed him drawings they'd made, stick figures of the three of them, and Laura smiling in a big bed surrounded by flowers. Ethan had never seen himself drawn before, and yet, there he was, in red crayon, holding a toy car. One evening, as they laughed over homemade cookies, Mia brought out the little red car. It was still scratched, still a little bent on the front bumper, but it looked brighter now, somehow, like it had a second life. She placed it in his hands again. "You can have it," she said. "It brought you to us." Ethan looked at her, stunned. He gently pushed the toy back toward her. "No, Mia. It wasn't the car that brought me. It was your heart. Both of yours." That night, driving back to his penthouse, Ethan didn't look at his phone. He didn't check the stock market or open his laptop. He just sat quietly in the back seat, staring at his own reflection in the window. And for the first time in his adult life, he didn't feel alone. As September gave way to falling leaves, the Sinclair apartment no longer felt like a battlefield against illness. It felt like home. Laura, still thin, was able to sit up, sip tea with her children, even smile. Color had returned to her cheeks and her eyes. They sparkled again. Ethan Caldwell now visited almost daily. At first, he said it was to check on medications or to bring extra blankets since the nights were getting colder. But the truth was written in his eyes, in the way he looked when Noah grabbed his hand to show him a new drawing, or when Mia asked for help with her homework, even though she already knew all the answers. These small things changed something in him. "You know you don't have to keep coming," Laura said one afternoon, her voice still weak but steady. "You've already done more than anyone would." Ethan sat beside her, a mug of tea in his hand. "I know," he replied, "but I don't want to leave." Silence. "It doesn't make sense," he went on. "I spend my days juggling numbers, stocks, contracts. None of it has made sense lately. But here, with you, it all fits." Laura smiled, but her eyes held something serious. "They get attached easily," she said quietly. "Mia and Noah. When their dad left us, they looked for him in every man who knocked on the door." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm not going anywhere." Later that night, Mia brought out the old shoebox they used to store their treasures: smooth rocks, faded trading cards, and the red toy car. She held it out to Ethan, almost like a ceremony. "It's yours now, because you've become part of our story." Ethan took the car, but this time, he didn't resist. He didn't hand it back. He simply looked at them and said, "Maybe you're part of mine too." That night, back in his penthouse, Ethan didn't go to his private elevator. He didn't check the markets or answer his phone. He just stood in his dark office, the city lights blinking behind him, holding that little red car. And for the first time in a long time, the most powerful man in the city felt small and whole. 3 months later, snow began to dust the city. In the same park where it all began, 2 twins ran between the bare trees, their laughter filling the cold air. Mia held a stack of flyers in one hand and her brother's scarf in the other. Noah, as always, was chasing snowflakes with his tongue. On the front of the flyer, it read, "The Sinclair Fund, healthcare for families who deserve a second chance." Ethan stood nearby, watching them with quiet awe, Laura beside him. She walked on her own now, face glowing with strength and life. "I never thought a donation would become this," she said, her eyes full of wonder. "It wasn't just a donation," Ethan replied. "It was a promise." After Laura recovered, Ethan used his influence to create something lasting, a permanent fund to help single mothers like her access fast and dignified medical care. But more than that, he stayed. Every Sunday, he had dinner with the Sinclairs, not as a benefactor, but as family. He brought Mia to science fairs, played video games with Noah, and one quiet night, as he handed Laura a warm cup of tea, their fingers lingered just long enough to say everything that words didn't. Nothing was rushed, but everything was real. At the official launch of the Sinclair Fund, the media spotlight was on Ethan, as always, but he simply reached for Mia and Noah, calling them up to the stage. "They taught me that true greatness," he said into the microphone, voice thick with emotion, "isn't in what we build, but in who we dare to care for." The room went silent for a beat, then rose to its feet in applause. Outside, as the event ended, Mia walked beside him. "Do you think the toy car brought you to us?" Ethan smiled. "Maybe. Or maybe you brought me back to myself." In the final scene, the camera pans wide. Ethan, Laura, Mia, and Noah walking together through the snowy park. No longer strangers, but something deeper, something permanent. The little red toy car now rests in a glass case on the Sinclair apartment wall, not as a reminder of what they lacked, but of everything they found. Sometimes, the smallest sacrifice leads to the biggest change. If this story touched your heart, leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little hope today.